The FIFA 2026 World Cup was supposed to be the sensible one, right? Supposed to be the sustainable one, because no more spending billions and billions of dollars building new stadiums that sit empty after the final whistle has blown. Just use what's already there, right? On paper, this sounds like a total win. It's sustainable, it's financially responsible, and it leverages some of the most advanced sports infrastructure on earth. But the deeper I went, the crazier this got. Because it turns out, using what you have isn't as simple as just opening the doors. We are talking about billion-dollar stadiums undergoing seating bowl surgery. Cities literally ripping out permanent concrete just for 1 month of football. Today we're looking at the rationale behind FIFA's continental pivot, the engineering transplants required to turn NFL cathedrals into international football pitches, and some real economics behind the ticket of what is shaping up to be the most expensive tournament ever held. Trust me, you don't know enough about the 2026 FIFA World Cup Stadiums yet. Let's get into it.
Alright, to understand why this year's World Cup is set up the way that it is, we first need to look at the ghosts of World Cups past. Think about Brazil in 2014. They spent around $15 billion, which is roughly 21 to 23 billion in today's money, to build colossal arenas in the middle of the Amazon that now sit pretty much empty. Okay, true white elephants. Or maybe South Africa in 2010, where the Cape Town Stadium cost roughly $600 million to build, but now costs the city millions a year just to maintain it, and they struggled for years to fill it up with events. FIFA's official rationale for 2026 is certainty and stability. Since 1998, the tournament has had 32 teams. In 2026, this expands to 48. That means a 63% increase in matches from 64 to 104. And to support that kind of scale, you are going to need massive amounts of high-capacity infrastructure. So by spreading the load across 3 different countries, FIFA isn't asking just one treasury to foot that multi-billion-dollar bill. Instead, they're using stadiums that are already operational and already profitable for things like the NFL and Liga MX teams. From a political standpoint, it's also about soft power. It's being framed as a united effort to showcase North American collaboration. Plus, by expanding to 48 teams, FIFA is essentially ensuring more qualification slots in emerging markets across Africa and Asia, which in turn secures political support from those member associations. It's a pretty compelling business model, but as we're about to see, already built doesn't necessarily mean ready. Okay, imagine you've got a world-class stadium, a $5 billion palace. You would think that using an existing stadium means that you won't have to do much construction, right? So it turns out ready-made is a little bit of an illusion. See, the biggest hurdle for 2026 is something as simple as geometry. Allow me to explain. See, an American NFL field is 53.3 yards wide. That's roughly 49 meters. But for a World Cup, FIFA demands a pitch that is at least 74 to 75 yards wide. That is a 20-yard gap, and bridging that gap is turning into a radical and radically expensive mission. Let's look at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, our host for the final. To get that extra width, they have to remove permanent seats in the corners of the lower bowl. And this isn't just unbolting some chairs, they are literally demolishing sections of precast concrete panels to physically change the stadium's shape. But here's the clever part. While they're demolishing them, they're also replacing them with modular, removable steel sections. This allows them to click the seats back in for the NFL season, so the Giants and Jets don't lose that permanent revenue. It is a multi-million-dollar surgery just to fit a rectangular pitch into a gridiron-shaped box. Then there's AT&T Stadium in Dallas, or Jerry World. This one's even wilder. To get that required width without destroying the sidelines, for the upper decks, they raised the entire field by around 2 to 4 feet. That is quite a bit of engineering. You have to scan the entire foundation for rebar and post-tension cables just to ensure that this structure can hold an elevated platform, a massive irrigation system, and tons of natural soil and grass. And why grass? That is the other piece of the puzzle. FIFA mandates natural grass, But many of these US stadiums use artificial turf because that's more durable for the NFL. For the World Cup, they're growing grass in specialized farms in places like Colorado, and they're trucking them in massive fleets of refrigerated vehicles to be installed just weeks before the game. At MetLife, they're even using heated covers. These are silver-coated blankets that radiate heat back into the grass to keep it growing in that New Jersey climate. The catch, though, is that for many of these stadiums, the grass is only temporary. Once the final whistle blows, the grass is torn out and the artificial turf comes right back in. Okay, I want to talk about how we ended up with MetLife for the final because this was a little bit of a shocker to a lot of people. For a long time, the favorite was SoFi Stadium in LA. It's the most expensive stadium in the world, $5.5 billion. And it kind of looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, yeah? But SoFi was designed almost too specifically for American football. Yes, you might have heard that SoFi can expand your capacity to 100,000 people. And that's true for things like the Super Bowl or huge concerts. For the World Cup, FIFA requires an all-seater stadium. Most of that 100,000 capacity comes from activating standing room only plazas and decks. To actually fit a wider FIFA regulation pitch, SoFi had to remove seats in the corners. And even with this flexibility, that bowl surgery would have left the stadium with only around 70,000 fixed seats. That is well below the 80,000 seat minimum that FIFA requires for the final. On top of that, there are reports that say owner Stan Kroenke wasn't exactly thrilled with FIFA's revenue sharing demands. Basically, FIFA wanted a huge check of the premium revenue and Kroenke fought back. MetLife said yes. They surrendered financial control to FIFA and agreed to the massive renovations. And in return, they got the biggest game on earth. So it's kind of a reminder that in the world of global sports, the battle isn't always about who's got the coolest architecture. Sometimes it's about who's willing to play ball with the organizer. Now let's head south to Mexico City and talk about the Estadio Azteca. This place is a temple, and it's the only stadium in history that's hosted 3 World Cup opening matches. But as developers rushed to modernize it for 2026, they were clashing with the people who live in its shadows. The surrounding neighborhood of Santa Ursula Cuapa has suffered from water shortages for over a decade. In 2019, Televisa, the media giant who owns the stadium, secured a concession for a local well that provides 450 cubic meters of water annually. Residents say that since the renovations began in mid-2024, their taps have run even drier, while the stadium uses the water to irrigate its pastures. The protests are real. You see signs saying Coca-Cola and Televisa stole our water. And it's not just water. The World Cup is fueling an accelerated construction frenzy where rents have doubled and long-term residents are being displaced by Airbnbs. Here's the thing though, the renovation ran right down to the wire. At one point, owner Emilio Azcárraga himself admitted that they were behind schedule, scrambling to pass FIFA's safety checks in time. But they did make it. The stadium has been reopened, it's polished, it's ready for its close-up on the world stage. But the neighborhood that it's sitting in, that fight didn't get renovated. And it's kind of a stark reminder that when we build these massive stages for global spectacle, the foundation could very well be resting on the lives of people who may not even be able to afford a ticket. And speaking of tickets, wait until you hear this. The 2026 World Cup, we all know, is set to be the most expensive World Cup in history for the average fan. And that's because FIFA is using dynamic pricing. Now, they've used this before, but never quite at this scale. This time, they're going full US sports market mode with their dynamic pricing. Prices fluctuate based on demand, just like with Uber or with flight tickets. Here's how that played out in the final at MetLife. When tickets first dropped in September of 2025, the cheapest seat, the absolute nosebleeds, started at $2,030. That's already pretty eye-watering, right? But that was just the opening price. By December, the cheapest ticket that you could get, $4,185. And by April, $5,785. And don't even get me started on that resale market. One listing, one single upper deck seat, not even VIP, went up for $11.5 million. $11 million for a chair. Fan organizations like Football Supporters Europe have called this a monumental betrayal. The Guardian argue that the World Cup is being turned into a luxury commodity for the wealthy. If you're a fan from a country like Haiti, which just qualified for its second ever World Cup, a single ticket plus travel could cost more than most people earn in half a year. The rationale from FIFA is that higher prices prevent scalpers from taking up more profit and ensures the money goes back to football development. But for the fan in the nosebleeds, it feels more like a pay-to-play barrier to the world's most popular game. And then we have the elephant in the room, the environment. Because this tournament is spread across 3 different countries and 4 different time zones, it is projected to be the most climate damaging in World Cup history. Research from Scientists for Global Responsibility estimates that the 2026 tournament will generate 9.02 million tons of CO2 equivalent, which is nearly double the historical average. Yeah, double. Where is it all coming from? 85% of those emissions are from air travel. With 104 matches spreading from Vancouver to Mexico City, teams and millions of fans are going to be taking long-haul flights constantly. FIFA has a climate strategy to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030, but critics say their reliance on carbon offsets is a little bit misleading. Plus, they've signed a massive sponsorship deal with Aramco, the world's largest oil company, which researchers say could induce an additional 30 million tons of CO2. It is the ultimate paradox. A sustainable model that uses existing stadiums but creates an unprecedented carbon footprint because of how far apart those stadiums are. But look, I don't want to be a total cynic, because the truth is, these stadiums and cities are kind of awesome. Take Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a LEED Platinum leader in sustainability. It has an iconic oculus roof that opens and closes like a camera aperture, and a system that recaptures millions of gallons of rainwater to prevent flooding in the local neighborhood. In Seattle, Lumen Field is legendary for its urban integration. It was built with soccer in mind, and the cantilevered roof is designed to reflect noise back onto the pitch, creating one of the loudest, most electric atmospheres in the world. And the Steel Giant in Monterrey, it's built with a wave-shaped roof that mimics the Sierra Madre Mountains. And it was the first football stadium in Latin America to earn a LEED certification. So we have a camera aperture roof in Atlanta, a noise cannon in Seattle, a steel skyline that mirrors the mountains of Monterrey. Like, these are genuinely some of the coolest buildings on the planet. And the best part is that these stadiums were already there, already giving back to their cities. And for all of the problems that we've talked about today, I think that part FIFA actually got right. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is a laboratory for future global events. FIFA is trying to solve the white elephant problem by pivoting to a business-first, infrastructure-heavy model. But as we've seen, existing infrastructure doesn't mean free. It means structural surgery, political tension over water, and a pricing model that risks alienating the very fans who give this sport its soul. These stadiums are not just concrete and steel. They are stages for a global spectacle. And with a sustainable model that somehow still produces the biggest carbon footprint in World Cup history, and communities paying the price outside of the gates, you kind of have to wonder, is the prestige of hosting worth the cost to the people on the ground? And the big picture is that this tournament will be a test of whether we can host the world without breaking the host. Alright, what do you guys think? Would you pay $2,000 or more likely $6,000 for a seat at the final? And more importantly, who are you all supporting for this World Cup? Let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, why don't you check out some of my others? I made another video about why Arsenal might want to expand their stadium in North London, and another one where I kind of geek out about some of the cool new specs in Barcelona's new Camp Nou. Alright guys, smash that like button, smash that subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, thanks for watching.